you actually looking at the camera? How much of the world... Oh, another belch. How much of the world do you actually understand? It's a lot, isn't it? You have the professionalism to look at the camera, but you also belch every time you're on film. That's all right. It's okay. Hello, BookTube. Welcome to your Daily Penguin. This is our slow waddle through my Penguin Classic wall back there. A strategic decision on my part that I think is paying off quite well. A decision to give these books individual time and attention rather than doing them 10 at a time in a normal bookshelf tour. But lately on the Penguin Tour, we have hit author after author after author, it seems, that I might venerate but that I don't love, or that I don't even venerate. Authors that are strictly middling, so that they don't really belong on my Penguin Classic wall. They certainly don't belong in this room. And today is similar to that. Today is an author who generally strikes me that way, just not particularly this book. And that is probably why this is probably the only book I have by this author. This is Zola, and this is The Debacle, which is rousing, a rough-edged historical novel about the Franco-Prussian War. And that was part of the reason that I liked it, is that history trumps all over the pages of this novel. War scenes trump all over the pages of this novel in miraculously realized ways, even in an English translation. This translation is by Leonard Tancock. And more important than that, another thing that I really like about this novel is that it is a very good fictional portrayal of the development of a friendship between two men, which is a very difficult thing to do convincingly. On fiction, I think mainly because it's a very difficult thing to do convincingly in real life. and it works in this case. Two men who meet at the beginning of this book. They are from radically different backgrounds. They ought to hate each other. And instead, forged through war and also through just getting to know each other, they become friends. So the combination of those two things, a deeply historical background, the fall of the Second Empire, the end of Napoleon III, the Franco-Prussian War just in general, that plus the personal element makes this novel work for me in a way that I think this is like 19 or 20 in the novel sequence that this author wrote for his whole life. And virtually none of the novels in that sequence work on me at all. Virtually none of them. This one works better than any of the others. I'm pretty sure that's why I have this. The rest of Zola, I know that he's venerated, but the rest of him probably would fall into a distinct category for me of certain elements in the literary canon where I might recognize that they have a place. I might recognize that they've cast a long literary shadow, but I myself don't want to own them. And the only circumstance in which I'm going to read them again, pay close attention to them, actually hunker down with them, is if a new edition comes out. You could easily picture someone doing a new translation of a novel of Zola that I don't like. Not this one, but a new translation, new introduction, new notes, that sort of thing, maybe the start of a series. Something like that would cause me to go back to this author, not necessarily to change my mind, not necessarily to make me love them, but at least to do it. At least to return to the author. And there are a number of other people like that. Proust is a perfect example, where I don't particularly need to have Proust in my library. I've given him so many tries, and it just hasn't worked for me to create the kind of devotion that exists in his fans. There are plenty of others. We saw Wilkie Collins in a number of just in the last few Penguins, of authors where if there were a new edition of their work, something new about it, new introduction, new notes, something like that, then I would request it from the publisher. I would read it again. I would pay attention to the author again. I might even review it. But I don't need to keep a Penguin Classic of it. And the same thing is true of Zola, except maybe for this book. So I don't know what to say. This will be a short Daily Penguin, because I don't know what to say about the recommend section. I don't know what to say about the recommend section for this author. I consider most of the... I don't even know how many novels he wrote in that series that he projected, but I consider most of those novels, even the really venerated one, to be just arid wastelands, just nothing to grab onto at all. And I tried the remedy of reading some of them in French to see if I was just missing the key thing that people always say is missing in translation, but I have an informal dictum when it comes to things like this. I mostly apply it to science fiction and especially epic fantasy, but it actually applies to pretty much anything, and that is 3. 3. If it was good enough for the Holy Trinity, it ought to be good enough for you. You have 3 books. 3. A maximum of 3. So none of this Wheel of Time nonsense. None of this just extending a series forever. None of this, well, I'm 18 years old and I have this 40-book sequence in mind about... No. No. None of that. No. 3. You have 3 books. If you can't get it all done in there, shift gears or change professions. And then that's heresy when it comes to Zola. I know, because I know people, I know readers who love every one of his books. It just seems to me that something vital goes out of the fiber of storytelling if you're giving yourself that big a canvas. But anyway, I think it's not just works in translation either. A Dance in the Music of Time is a perfect example. 3 books. You have 3 books to tell this story. But one way or another, I seem to remember Tancock's translation being very good. Zola is very good on the page. If you're liking the larger matter that he's conveying, then you're going to like the way he does it. That's as far as I can go, though. Except for this book. This book I can recommend as a terrific reading experience. So I guess that's the whole remit of this particular Daily Penguin, right? The Daily Penguin isn't supposed to treat on an whole author's career unless I'm holding up 20 books. This book is good. There you go. That's a Penguin Classic recommend I can stand behind. Although I got to tell you, I enjoy this book, but it does not make Steve squeal. And it has been now a long time without a penguin that makes Steve squeal. I'm starting to lose faith in this whole process. So I'm going to hope. I'm not looking ahead. I'm not planning any of this. So I am hoping that tomorrow's Daily Penguin will be ever so much more exciting. We'll adjourn for now. We'll take it up tomorrow and see. You'll be able to tell on my face before I even hold up the book. Anyway, that's it for today. This is Zola, and I will be back tomorrow. Thank you, BookTube.